Alex, what's your sense? I mean, if a company is going to be hiring a development team, what are some questions that they want to ask? I mean, obviously, there's many development teams out there. How do you pick the one that really fits for your business or your project? What are some sort of questions that allow you to cut through the clutter?
Sure, and I think I definitely agree with what Rupen and Tim said. You definitely need to do your homework, and the more information you have before you approach a development company, the better off you're going to be. So figuring out your customers, your target audience, and then kind of figuring out maybe their personas. Are they going to be using a desktop application at one place with the mobile app in another place? Kind of what the different strategies are, and then you also might want to start thinking about what platform you're going to target. Because depending on what platform you're going to hit, different development shops are going to have different skill sets. So, are you going to be doing a native iOS app or a native Android app? Or you can get into the hybrid apps using PhoneGap, or you can just go for a pure responsive web design application as well. So, depending on which one you're going to pick, that's probably going to affect your choice of which development shop you're going to use as well. The other thing I think that would be great is if you knew kind of what data, especially for enterprise, what data you're going to leverage out of your systems, and how is that data going to be accessible? Because a lot of times, that getting the data out of the APIs, defining those APIs, could be even more work than some of the mobile development work that you're going to be doing. So basically, having all that information ahead of time is going to be able to ask, so then you can ask each shop that you talk to what their skill set is and what experience they have in your chosen platform that you're going to be targeting, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, getting the data. It's sort of like, does the company need a back end rebuilt or built, or they really just need a mobile app, or do they need both those things? The project could scale pretty well really quickly. It could scale really largely really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to determine the cost. If you just need someone to develop your mobile application and you already have the API defined, maybe you have the project management skills as well, the UX resources, that's going to be a lot different where, the shop's going to have to do everything, including API, project management, UX, all themselves. So it's going to look like a completely different, equation essentially. So.
Right. Tim, what questions, if someone hired you just to hire, the perfect web development team, or if you actually own the business yourself, you're going to hire another web development team, what sort of questions would you ask them to see if they really knew their stuff or if they were a good fit for your company?
So there's not going to be one magical question that you can ask. That's the problem. Otherwise our jobs would all be a lot easier. Like Google and Microsoft famously used to have trick questions where if you get the trick, then you get the job, and if you don't, you don't.
Right.
So it's more, and any developer, if you're hiring, unless you're super technical and you're possibly not listening to this talk because you already know it, all the answers, the developer is going to be able to out-talk you on the tech side anyways. So they could, unless you're really well educated, they could be feeding you a line. So it's more than just a question. Is sit down, talk through the process with them, talk through how they built similar things, what the working relationship will be like. How committed to this whole thing are you? We work very hand in hand with our clients as partners every day delivering value. So we try to say that within the first week, if you're not seeing results, and you keep hearing how much longer it'll take their problems. So
you actually put a 1 week time. You throw out the figure 1 week.
Well, within the first day, something should be done.
Okay.
Some of that might just be design. So if we're doing design, then how are you liking the design process? How is the relationship working? All of the best projects that go the best have very good relationships. Most of our work comes from word-of-mouth referral because people are happy with us. Mm-hmm. And that social proof does make an even better working relationship. So can you picture from your discussion of how we help talk you through what you're trying to build, how long it'll take, what the technology choices are, what the day-to-day working will be like? I mean, you certainly will ask lots of questions about technology, why they justify it, what their portfolio is, but there's not. You could ask infinite questions, but there's not like one easy one that solves it.
Rupen, is there a magical question that you would recommend? Like, oh, if I get a good answer to this particular question, they really know their stuff.
No, I mean, it's the practical reality is these things are fairly complex, and as Tim said, if it were that easy, there would be a lot of people in technology without jobs. But practically speaking, I think a good place to start is to look at their resume, if you will. And today, your resume is really online. You have applications that you've built if you're a developer that are out there. You can have a look at the quality of those apps. You can ask questions about the team structure on that project to build the app. Were they the lead? Were they just one contributing member of the team? What did they actually do? You can do reference checks. I mean, these are standard things you would do for any employee. Reference checks are always great, right? Especially if they've done work for any other clients. You can ask them for 3 references, give them a call, and see how good of a job they did. But I think, frankly, before you get into all the details of qualifying potential developer for your project, you should just decide what type of product you're building. If you're building a game and you're going to primarily a business development application firm, you may not get exactly the results that you want, even if they get good references, because that's not their specialty.
Right.
And potentially vice versa. So first, understanding the type of app, and then targeting the developers that have kind of built apps in that domain is a good start. And then you can do all the typical reference checking and checking out their portfolio, their skill sets, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at a project, I'll add, if you're looking at a project or a product that's going to be long-lasting, it's not just a one-shot app, you'd also want to consider that has this development shop or team been around with clients for a long time, or do they just do short engagements, get in and get out? Because that'll leave you in a lurch later on. So you want a partner that will kind of be with you for the duration of your product development lifecycle.
Can I actually jump into +1 what Ruben just said there?
Sure.
So many people don't think about what comes next, and I'm always encouraging my clients to be hiring, and discussing what happens when we wrap up with you and transition on is very important, not just for the selecting that they're a dev shop that cares what happens after and works with you on that, but it's the probably #1 most under-considered thing.
What do you mean when what happens next in what sense? You mean when the app is done, it's out in the field, it's being used? Is it done?
We're getting away from the web has long since proven agile, and mobile development is a little slower development cycle, but it is still a continuous process. So it's not like you ship an app and it's done and out there. It's more you shipped an app and now you're getting more feedback. So if you haven't already started getting feedback and considered that you were basically buying a baby, you have something now for the rest of your life. And
Right.
you can get any of us who will do great work and then think, okay, now I'm done and I don't have any budget left, and we've launched it. And if any developer puts you in that spot, then they've left you high and dry.
Right.
I'm definitely talking how they work with clients after the fact, how we help train up your engineers on the job.